Welcome to the Land, your bet sports betting show. 2 WNBA games here on Wednesday, and then we take a little break for about a month. But we do have the Olympics, so I will be coming back to you guys with Olympics bets, best bets, and play of props for all 12 teams that we have. Probably a couple other sports I'll be looking at, but for the most part, basketball. So definitely want to make sure you continue to follow along, subscribe to that page. Also head to the Discord if you want to check out all those plays as fast as I can, and I get those out to you guys a little bit earlier in the Discord. So definitely make sure to check it out, all free as we move forward with that. But for now, let's go ahead and jump right into these games we've got for Wednesday in the W. Also, quick reminder, outlier.bet, if you want a free trial of this, actually the best sports betting platform for research and all the tools that you need to get what you need when you're placing these bets, that is on outlier.bet. Get that for 7 days free in the description of the video. You can catch that link and then go ahead and get yourself a free trial to see if you like it moving forward. First game on Wednesday, we've got the Dream in Minnesota taking on the Lynx. However, Napheesa Collier is questionable. We know Jordan Canada is still out. And the other interesting thing about this injury report is that Ryan Howard is no longer on it. So we should be seeing her play in this game. I haven't been able to find anything that says that she's not playing. Also haven't been able to find anything saying that she is playing. Would love to have a little bit better coverage of the WNBA from these reporters. So we'll see what comes of that tomorrow. But I'm expecting her to play at this point and get one of these games in, because it seems like she might be able to play in the Olympics. Not positive there. Just as important, though, if Collier is not in, this 7.5 points might seem like a lot. She's the best player on this Lynx team, and they have been missing her, losing a couple games over their last 3 or so. Looking at the head-to-head matchup here, the Dream continue to struggle on offense. We know that. They've had players out for the majority of this season. They've really held things together on defense. Remaining 7th best is still going to be something to hang your hat on if you're this Dream squad with the amount of players that they've had missing. But they are a slow, choppy defensive team regardless, even when they do have their offensive weapons in there. As you can see, the only really thing that they do well outside of their defense is rebounding. Everything on offense and the style of play is slow and not very efficient. Whereas for Minnesota, they also play super slowly, but they are a lot better on offense. They're down to the 6th offensive rating for Minnesota, especially because the last 3 games without Collier have been tough. She does a lot for them, especially helping them get open threes by making the defense shift and get imbalances. She is the best one-on-one offensive player for this Minnesota squad. And they continue to shoot well, though, and she's a big reason for it. First in effective field goal percentage on the season. Over the last 3, however, that has dropped down without Collier in there. So a lot of these really good offensive stats for Minnesota heavily dependent on them having their best player. If you look at the Dream offense, what they do well, they get to the bucket, they get second chance points, they play bully ball as much as they can. You know, gals like Alicia Gray definitely contribute to that, driving to the rim. Not necessarily the best shooters by any means. And that's why I kind of also wanted to show you they're not good at getting points in the paint, but they're also not good at getting threes. That's going to create a pretty stagnant, choppy offense. And for Minnesota, they continue to be one of, if not the best, well, let's give them top 3 defensive team in the league. Connecticut probably still owns that, but another bad loss. Bad loss. They lost by 8. It pissed me off because they should have covered 5.5. More importantly for this Minnesota team, they are very, 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 very good on defense. And Collier, as good as she is on both sides of the floor, much more important to what they do on offense. So this Lynx defense should still have a decent amount of success against the Dream. On the other side of the floor, Minnesota is a team that wants to get easy buckets by getting out into transition and oftentimes getting points off of turnovers that lead into transition buckets for them. First in points off turnover, 3rd in fast break, and they can shoot the 3. 3 really, really important categories to be as good as they are. It's why they're at the top of the league right now. Not at the very top, but they still remain in the top 3 or 4 teams looking to actually make a legit run at the championship right now, right? I give it to the Lynx, the Liberty, the Aces, and I'll still keep the Sun in there for right now, although they have not looked good for the last 4 or 5 games for how they should. But most importantly for this Lynx offense, they want to make you make mistakes, and they want to get open threes with good ball movement. For the Atlanta Dream defense, not bad. I mean, they have a very good at getting back in transition. They prioritize it. They really don't attack the offensive glass too well either, which is a big reason why they do give up. They don't give up fast break points, rather, because they get back on defense, right? At the 3-point line, all right, they're fine. 7th, they're middle of the pack, but I would still give the nod to the Lynx on offense at the 3-point line, much more so than this Atlanta defense is going to be able to stop it. With Collier still questionable to play, and it looks iffy according to RotoWire, that's the exact terminology they're using, is that she's still iffy to play. with that in mind, I don't feel comfortable betting on Minnesota, even against this bad Dream team. I don't think Ryan Howard is going to come in and be that impactful right away after like a 4-week absence. But I do think she's going to impact the Alicia Gray's shot volume, essentially, enough that we can go under with Alicia Gray here. 16.5 points, -125 on Bet365. So with Howard back, you can see in the 13 games that she's played with Alicia Gray here, 5 of 13 for Alicia Gray, that she's gone over 16.5 points, averaging 15.2 and about 12.5 shots. When you have Howard out, however, she's been much better, right? Over in 7 of the 10 games that Howard's missed, 17 points essentially, and 13.5 shot attempts per game. That's why you see all those numbers go up for her. She has more volume, she has more minutes, she's much more integral to their offense. But with Minnesota here and with Ryan Howard back, not going to be a great matchup. She's already gone under a couple times versus this Minnesota team this season, in large part because they limit free throws, they limit fast break, and they limit the 3-ball. And that's what Alicia Gray does. Those are the areas of the floor that she scores the majority of her points. She's either going to be getting to the bucket, getting to the free throw line, or attempting a 3-pointer. And that is the strength of this Minnesota defense. So we are going to take them to limit her to under 16.5 points in this one. All right, the other game on Wednesday is the Fever taking on the Wings in Dallas. And we still have Temi Fagbenle, who is not likely, well, she's out already. She's missed a lot of this season. And then you have Seitu Sabali and Maddie Siegrist, both still out. We know that's going to be the case here for probably another at least month without those two players for the Wings. The injuries have been a big reason why the Wings have been so bad this season, but overall, man, they've just been really bad in a couple key areas, starting with just the overall season stats here. The offensive rating, it's been good at times this season. The defense has not. These have been the two worst defensive teams in the league this season. A lot of similarities in this matchup. The Wings do want to play a little bit faster, and they are better at rebounding. But this Indiana offense is much better shooting team, especially. And Indy has made some pretty big changes and improved a ton in their last 10 games. In their last 10 games, looking at their offensive stats, they have been really good all over the floor. Second chance points, fast break points, and points in the paint. Now, this is on the season as a whole, but these numbers have gone way up for the Fever since the over the last 10 games or so, where, by the way, they are like the 4th best team in the league record-wise. I believe they're 6-4 in those last 10 and have really upped the defense a ton, more even so than the offense. But the offense also has come along for the ride, and this Wings D, just terrible, man. They give up fast break points. They give up points in the paint. They're pretty good at limiting the 3-ball, but really, as surprising as it may sound, because Caitlin Clark is on this Fever team, they're not that big of a 3-point shooting team or reliant upon that 3-point shot very much. They do get to the bucket a ton. They get to the free throw line a decent amount, but mostly they get those points in fast break, and they get to the bucket pretty well, scoring from inside 5 feet. And the floater game as well, about 5 to 10 feet for this Fever squad. Really, really impressive stuff from them. When you look at the Wings, what they want to do on offense, okay, they should have some success against the Fever because on the season, the offensive rebounding for them is really good, and the defensive rebounding for the Fever, not very good. Reason that they give up the most second chance points in the league. Wings, as bad as they've been, those are the two areas that they're really good. Second chance points, points in the paint. Now, the Fever defense has gotten pretty good against points in the paint. They're up to 5th, but they do give up those second chance points. However, in the last 10 games, they've been a lot better. So we're taking the Fever -3.5 on the road in Dallas. And that's -105 on Caesar. By the way, I know at the bottom there it says -4.5 for the Fever, but that spread has gone in our favor. And once it got to under 4.5 and got to 3.5, I had to take it, because the other thing here about the Fever is in these last 10 games, I mentioned they've been the 4th best team. They've been the best team at limiting points in the paint, something they were already good at, but now they're even better at it. And those offensive rebounds to the other team, up to 4th in terms of limiting those, which is why they're also 6th now in limiting the opponent's second chance points. So all this stuff I just told you right here about how bad they've been limiting second chance points, giving up offensive rebounds, they've improved that dramatically over the last 10 games, a legit sample size. It's not like 1 or 2 games against bad teams, and that helped bumped up their numbers. They've been playing decent teams, really good teams in the last 5 games or so, some nice wins too against Seattle, but they really are coming through here in the key areas where the Wings want to to try to score points. So we're going to take them to cover. And I'm also going to put a bet on well, I did already put a bet on Aaliyah Boston over 15.5 points and get that at -115 on 365. I wasn't really going to take this originally, but just the way that she's been really taking a good amount of shots and going over so consistently in the last 12 games is a big reason for it. Plus, I really you want to attack who scores the most points in the paint for the team who is playing against this Dallas Wings squad, where Arike, as good as she is on offense, not really doing much on defense, and that's really been the case for most of the players on this Wings squad here down low. So for Aaliyah, she takes 90% of her shots in the paint, right? 65% or so of them are right next to the basket inside 5 feet, and the other 25% right in that 5 to 10 little floater or short mid-range game. And she's really just been on a tear. Shooting 60% in these last 12, where she's gone over in 9 of those 12 games. Averaging 17 points. The 12.5 field goal attempts don't inspire much hope. That's not the kind of volume I like too often. Love to see that up about 14 or 15 shots, but still with a 60% hit rate, field goal percentage rather, that's enough to get her over with about 2 free throws that she's making per game as well in this time frame. So still feel really good about the center for the Fever doing her work tonight, or I should say on Wednesday, as I'm recording this the night before, against Dallas on the road though. And that is all the time that I have for you in this one. Like we said, going to be on a little bit of a hiatus with the W, but going to be coming back. Still have Summer League this week, so definitely want to jump in the Discord. That's where I'm dropping those. Not really any time to make a video for the Summer League because these lines come out so quickly, like late, I should say, before the game starts. Not a lot of time to really get stuff up on video for you, but in the Discord, still dropping those Summer League bets, still up a couple units on the early season here in the Summer League. Only another week and a half or so left on it, but still plenty of bets to be made. Then we get into the Olympics and those hoops for all 12 teams that are playing in these summer games here in France. So definitely want to make sure to stick around and check those out. Got a couple other fun announcements coming out here and on the Discord. So stick around until I see y'all next. Happy betting.